In this video, I'll be going over assignment 5, which is exercise 3.15, arithmetic. And that exercise says we're going to write an app that asks the user to enter two integers, obtains them from the user, and displays their sum, product, difference, and quotient, division, the divided, okay? So it's going to be addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. And it says use the technique shown in figure 3.14. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is open up our Visual Studio, create a new project. And this project will be a console app again with C#. And I'm going to name this one assignment 5. I think it's assignment 5. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and create that. And we'll get rid of this. And we're going to do the same as we did in assignment 4. The first thing we're going to do is our using directive, which is system. We'll be using the system directive. And then the next thing we're going to do is we'll look again at this image here and how they did their coming up with the sum, it looks like. So we're going to add a using system, then we're going to add the class declaration. So we're going to add the class, and then I'm going to name this arithmetic. Let's see, did I spell that right? Let's see. Exercise 3.15 arithmetic. My bad. Okay, arithmetic. And so within the class arithmetic, we're going to have the the braces here. And then within the arithmetic class, we're going to, again, look at figure 3.14. We're going to have the same as we did in assignment 4. We're going to have the static void main. So we're going to go ahead and type that in there. All right. And then within the static, and within the main method, we're going to have, within the main method, we will have, we're going to declare some numbers here. And then we're going to have some prompts. And then we're going to use int.parse, which I'll go over in a minute. So first, let's just go ahead and add our let's see, our declarations, I guess. It's just, we're just going to declare these things. So we know we're going to have int of number 1, because that will be the prompt that we're going to be using here. So we'll have number 1 equals int.parse console.readline, so that it will read the input that the user puts into the system. So this is our prompt, and this number is going to read it. So we're going to want the same thing. We're going to be using 2 numbers. So we're going to have number 1 and number 2. And there's a semicolon after each of these lines. So we're going to make sure we do it just like that. So we're going to have number 1 and number 2. Oops. Okay, and I'm going to leave a little bit of space because these are declarations, but they're for the prompts that we're going to be having for number 1 and number 2. That'll be for the input. And now we know we're going to have the sum, so we'll do the same for the sum. Oops. Make sure there's a space. And then we're going to have the product, right? And the difference. And the quotient, I don't know how to say it. Okay, and I think that's all we'll have. Let's check the exercise again. It says sum, product, difference, and quotient. Okay. We're going to use 2 integers. Okay. 2 prompts, integers, and we're going to go back to figure 3.14. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is, okay, so these are all like underlined right now because we've only declared them. We haven't like used them or anything, or put in any value to them or anything. So the first thing we're going to do is the same as it has on here for to enter the 2 numbers that we need entered. So we're going to first prompt the user, which is just a console.write. So we're going to do that. Console.write, and then we're going to say, I don't know why I did that. And then we are going to say something like enter first integer. Okay. Enter first number. We'll just say number, okay? And we'll leave a space there. And now how we're going to get that number is by using int parse. So you can say here, you can see here that we're going to give number 1 the value of int.parse and then console.readline. So what this is going to do is we will do that. We'll add the semicolon first. And then we're going to do number 1 equals, and then just like on here, we're going to do int.parse. So int meaning integer, and then console.readline. Okay, and that looks good. So what this line is doing is first, it's reading the value that was put in from the prompt. So this is prompt user to enter a number. And then what this is doing is this is first the console.readline is it's assigning the value of the user input. Assigns value of the user input to a variable. In this case, the variable being number 1. Okay. So to the variable, which is number 1. Is the variable that it's assigning the value to. Now it's not just assigning a value, it's also using int.parse, which means that at first the console.readline, the readline method, it waits for the user to type in the data. In this case, is going to be a number. And then it waits for the user to press enter. And then once the user types in a value and types enter, then it will return that text that was entered. So what the parse method does is it converts that text that was entered, the characters that were entered, into data with the type of integer, or with meaning that it will be a number. So what this is doing is it's making sure that this text that was put in there is assigned the value of a number. So like this text that you put in will be read like a number. I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense or not. I probably didn't explain that great, but I think for the most part, console.readline is reading the input that was put in there. Int.parse is making sure that the value is an integer or a number. Okay. And then let's go back to, so number 1 equals, okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the second integer, and it'll be the same thing, console.write, and then we're going to do enter second number. Okay. And of course a semicolon. And that again is the prompt for the user to input a number. Okay. And then we're going to have number 2 will be equal to, and we're going to do the same thing, int.parse console.readline. Okay. And this again will assign value with data of type integer or number. Okay. So these are just the prompts. So this is just asking the user to input a number. Okay. We haven't used any of this yet. We've only so far only done number 1 and number 2 to prompt the user to enter the number. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're going to give value to sum, product, difference, and quotient. So what we're going to do is to give value is we're going to do sum equals. Okay, because that equal sign is assigning it a value. So for the sum, we're going to go ahead and look back at, let's see. So sum is number 1 plus number 2. And you just write it just like that, right? So sum equals number 1 plus number 2. Okay? So the product will be pretty similar, but obviously it's not going to be number 1 plus number 2. It will instead be, number 1. We're still going to use number 1. And instead of plus, we're going to use multiplication, which I think if you look at, is it here? Okay, you can see it here. There's another table. There's another table that shows this also, but you can see the operators that you should use for multiplication and division and stuff. So it'll be the same thing. So for multiplication, you'll use an asterisk. For division, you'll use a forward slash. For subtraction and addition, you just use plus and a minus sign or hyphen sign, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to do, instead of plus, this is product, meaning multiply. So we're going to multiply number 1 by number 2. And then we're going to do the same with difference. The difference. And we're going to keep it exactly how we wrote it up here. So it's not, there's no capital letters or anything. Okay, and we're going to give the difference the value of number 1. Number 1, and so the difference means subtract, right? So we're just going to do a hyphen or a dash line or whatever you want to call it. We're just going to do that. And then the quotient, I don't know how to say it, will be equal to number 1, and but no, not times, sorry, not plus asterisk or a subtraction symbol, but instead a forward slash. So it says number 1 divided by number 2. So the sum is number 1 plus number 2. The product is number 1 times number 2. The difference is number 1 minus number 2. The quotient, or the division, okay, is number 1 divided by number 2. Okay, so now we've declared them. We've given them a value. Okay, so now we need to do console.writeLine so that it's just like in the figure 3.14. Let's find that again. Okay, so just like in this image here, you can see how they did for the sum is console dot right line, and then they did the string. And if you remember from the previous assignment, you do console dot right line like you normally would. So let's go ahead and do that first. Okay, and then you have this. Okay, so first, remember, outside of the double quotes is where you're going to have the dollar sign. Okay, and then inside you're going to have the sum is, okay, and then in brackets you're going to have sum, because it is calling the sum that you have already declared and given a value to, and it is saying to go ahead and input that sum there. Okay, and I'm probably not like using the correct, like probably input and stuff is not like the correct terminology for this, but I'm just trying to explain it in a way that is at least understandable, but hopefully you can understand. Okay, so sum is sum, and we put those in brackets or braces, and that's within the double quotes, and we have to make sure that it ends, of course, in a semicolon. Okay, so that's all looks good. Okay, and this is the end of the main method, and this is the end of the class arithmetic. Is that spelled right? METIC. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and do this with the product, difference, and quotient as well. So let's just copy and paste. Oops. Okay, so instead of sum, we're going to do product. And again, this is not capital letters when you're calling out. So when you declared it up here, and then you gave it a value, and then you're inputting it down here, it all has to be the same syntax, written the same way and everything. If you have a product with a capital P, there is nothing that let's see, how should I word it? We never have created, I guess, that product, right? We assigned it, we declared it, we assigned it a value, and then now we're calling on it. If we have it so that it's spelled wrong or capital or whatever, then we never declared that. Like, we never declared product with a capital P, so it won't work, okay? All right, so now we're gonna do difference. Now this is, so when I'm writing difference here, this is just text that'll be written in the output. So you can write this however you want, okay? But when you're calling it, you have to make sure you spell it and give it the same, like it has to be exactly the same as when you first declared it, okay? If that makes sense. Okay, and the last is, oops, Q. All right, so let's just check that everything has a semicolon. Why is this underlined? I'm not sure. All right, we'll save that. All right, let's just go ahead and see if it's running now. Enter first number. Let's do 2. Oh, let's make sure I'm typing it. Enter second number. Let's do 4. So the sum is 6. 2 plus 4 is 6. Product is 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Difference is -2 because 2 minus 4 is -2. And quotient is 0 because 2 is not divisible by 4. Okay, so it looks like everything is good. Now the next thing you could do if you wanted is, like, you could add space between, make it look better. So you have your enter first number, okay, enter second number, and then you can have like a space between. So you can say where the sum is and different. So what we can do is we can either do a console.writeLine, or we can just do within the parentheses, remember, \n for new line. And then we'll go ahead and save that and see how that looks. Oops. I did that. All right, 3, 3, 3, and then there's a little bit of space there, so you can see a little separation. Okay, so it just maybe looks a little bit better is all. You can do lots of things to make it, like give it a tab. Like to give it a tab. I don't know why I keep even closing it out in the first place. Like you can give these a tab even. So I think the tab is like /t maybe. Let's see. And then we'll just do but this is not necessary. I just like it to look like neat and really easy to read and understand. So this just gave it a tab, so you can see it's like, enter the first number, enter the second number, and here's your answer, here's your outcome here. And it just kind of makes it a little bit more clear, but you definitely don't need to do anything like that. It's not required in the assignment or anything. It's just a little bit of things I learned actually just in the next couple weeks that I'm ahead on. So this should be, everything's working, everything. Why is that on there? Let's see, why did they add that? Okay, yeah, I don't know why, I don't know how that got entered on there. All right, so again, you'll save all, and then you'll go into your folder. I have mine open, so it's not going to work probably, and I have mine saved under Documents, Assignment 5 here, and then you'll go to Compress to Zip File. I'm just going to go ahead and do Assignment 5, and then I can send this, like I can open my email and then send it as attachment, and then extract all is what you'll do. Extract. And then you're going to click on this one here with the .sln, and that will bring up your Visual Studio, and you'll be able to run it from there. Yep, and everything's good. All right, well, I hope that this helped you out a lot and you're able to understand it. I know that I don't always use the correct terminology, but I think for the most part, you should be able to, from these couple assignments, kind of know at least the very basic, the using directive and putting class and how to like start a basic app anyway. Yeah, I really hope this helped you. And again, you can just reach out to me if you have any questions or need more help or anything.